My name is Ainsley Carey, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Vice Provost for Student Affairs. So as I begin to frame the student experience, I'd like to give a little background about the Division of Student Affairs. The Division of Student Affairs is composed about 300 employees working in 15 different departments kind of spread throughout campus. We are structurally focused on students. We have student health and wellness, student support and advocacy, student engagement, career services, and the residential education experience. We see ourselves serving a population of 40,000 students, 18,000 undergraduates, and more than 21,000 graduate students. 7,000 of these students live right here on campus, and more than 15,000 students live within walking distance of our campus. We are working with our students and parents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We see our primary responsibility as creating the student experience. To help me frame that student experience, I've invited our student body president, Andrew Menard, to talk about student and parent expectations of the student who enrolls at USC.
Thank you, Dr. Carey. I have to be honest, I don't think there's a university out there that really sells itself better than USC. And after Dennis Cornell's introduction, it inspired me to preface what I'm going to talk about this morning with a quick story on my first experience with USC. It was actually my senior year of high school, and I came up for a game day. And really, it wasn't the thrilling one-point victory that we had over Arizona State that made that day so memorable, but it quite literally represented my first step into the world of USC. And, you know, when students come to USC, they know that they're coming to a world-class institution. So, naturally, there are world-class expectations. These expectations are driven by the kind of students we recruit, the schools that students compare USC to, and also the ever-increasing price of tuition. Now, USC, there are so many exciting developments and initiatives that have been completed and that are in the process of being completed that students are very thankful for. Just to highlight a few, the new Student Health Center has been a wonderful resource that Dr. Carey is going to talk about in a little bit. The new Annenberg Building, Daughtry Hall, students have an opportunity to really learn and lead the world with just the fascinating work and research that the facilities provide for them. And of course, the $650 million University Village project, I mean, that is going to completely create an unparalleled student experience and really hit that level of expectation. But of course, there are also areas where we can continue to work to achieve those levels of expectations. As some of you guys may know, Levy Library has been a center in the center of attention for students these past couple years. The undergraduate student government released a survey where we surveyed nearly 1,800 students about Levy Library, and the responses were that 3% said that it met their academic needs, and 93% would like to see a renovation. And renovation items included better access to outlets for electricity, an improved heating and cooling system, some of the equipment to hopefully be updated. And this summer, I mean, students were thrilled at the progress that USC made. I mean, not only did they achieve all of the renovations that we were hoping for, but they also installed state-of-the-art collaborative study space and classrooms in the basement and the first floor where the renovations took place. So, and it really provided that wow factor that students were looking for with our only 24/7 library. But we're excited to continue those renovations to the second, third, and fourth floor. Another expectation that students have when they come to USC is entertainment. Los Angeles is the entertainment capital of the world, but at times we struggle bringing in the professional and musical talent that our students expect. In an effort to revamp our security precautions at some of these events, USC has understandably required that we provide fencing, security, or DPS and campus security. Unfortunately, though, those expenses that are mandated, the entirety of the cost is coming out of the student programming fee, And so it makes it challenging for our Welcome Back concert, Conquest, and Springfest. When you add up those costs, that's about $45,000 that are out of the programming fee that we're paying for security, when we really would love to see that bring in some of the top talent that our students expect. And so, I know there are fee discussions going on right now, and so we're really excited, and we hopefully would like to see just a slight increase in our student programming fee so that we can help cover those costs and continue to really meet student expectations when it comes to entertainment that we're able to bring on campus.
As Andrew mentioned, our students and parents have high expectations when they enroll at USC. A key point that he mentioned is that these students are comparing us to peer institutions. These students are paying attention to tuition. And it doesn't escape them that we're in the midst of a $6 billion capital campaign. So our students come to campus with very high expectations, and our parents come to campus with very high expectations. So what are we doing in the world of student affairs to attempt to achieve those student expectations? Well, in the Division of Student Affairs, we're looking at Pine's text, Joseph Pine's text, about the experience economy. And we pulled one principle out of that book and said, what if we focused on making this principle happen? And that principle is the elimination of customer sacrifice. So what is customer sacrifice? Customer sacrifice is the gap between what our students and parents expect and what they actually settle for. Not what they actually achieve or what we actually deliver, but what they end up at the end of the day settling for. This is the customer sacrifice. Let me offer a few examples. Right now, our hours of operation do not align with students' hours of operation. We are a global research university. We are enrolling students and we are involved with parents all over the world. We operate on a time schedule of about 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. For our students and parents on the other side of the globe, on other parts of the world, they sometimes have accepted the sacrifice that they'll have to stay up until 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning to actually communicate with one of our offices. This is a customer sacrifice that they have settled for because they don't believe that there's anything that we can do to change that. Let me offer another example. We enroll about 7,000 students in online education, and we've promised those students that they will have full access to the USC experience. Those students pay full tuition, but we know that we have not created the full USC experience for that population. They don't have access to the support services that the on-ground students have. These students taking our courses online have settled with this is the expectation. This is customer sacrifice, the gap between what students expect when they enroll and what they actually settle for at the end of the day. So what are we doing in the world of student affairs to deal with this? We've asked ourselves two questions. If we were to think about customer sacrifice and we were to eliminate one dimension of the customer sacrifice, how will that increase the value of the student experience? The second question we asked ourselves, what could we package and what could we customize to increase the value of the student experience? So let me tell you how this train of thought has impacted the work that we do in student health services. So in student health services nationally, we have seen a great demand for student health on college campuses. Many of you have gone to institutions and you may remember the infirmary, which was kind of a doc-in-a-box setup. We had very little expectations about student health 25 and 30 years ago. When parents evaluate the institutions they're sending their kids to today, they think about the student health services and how comprehensive we are. And this is a national expectation. So we have moved from infirmaries to full-fledged student health centers on campus. Now, at USC, up until the 1980s, USC was relatively a commuter campus. We had about 3,500 students living on, and just a few more thousand students living near campus. Therefore, our student health infrastructure was designed for a residential community. Our student health services were separated into 8 separate buildings on campus. The halls were narrow, and oftentimes our doctors would be working with patients in the hallways, taking blood pressures, sometimes providing immunization in hallways. Our trustee Ingeman remembers the days when she actually had a flu shot in the hallway, and that inspired the movement that she made to make Ingeman Student Health Center happen. We have been seeing an increase in the demand for quality student health on campus for the past 30 years. Over this time, we've seen student visits to our student health services go from 35,000 per year to now more than 103,000 visits in our student health facilities. We've also seen immunization requests go from 500 per year to more than 20,000 requests for immunization. We've also seen our call center increase to 60,000 calls in a year. There's a great demand for our student health experience, and our students are extremely appreciative of what we've done in the Ingeman Student Health Center. And I've asked Andrew to describe a little bit more about how changing that experience from going to 8 separate buildings and moving it all into one building and providing that package of services for students, how has that transformed the student experience?
Well, just being a senior, when I was a freshman, we didn't have that beautiful facility. So I think for a lot of students, it really has provided an opportunity to just simplify the process of getting access to services. I mean, not only do we have a facility that aesthetically is beautiful, and obviously that helps when you're in a health condition, but it also just it makes locating everything in the same place just makes the process so easy when people are going through, obviously very traumatic experiences. So, I've heard from hundreds of students who have benefited from just the simplicity of the process now and all the accesses or all the resources that are available.
Thank you. So in 2013, we opened the Ingeman Student Health Center, and that changed the student experience. The key part of how it changed the student experience is not only the facility that's beautiful and magnificent that students have access to, but we have also packaged student health care in one facility. In the past, students had to use or visit 8 different buildings in order to access all the student health services they needed. Now, all of those services are packaged into one facility. So students can meet with doctors, counselors, wellness experts throughout the same facility. Now, of course, a beautiful new building changes everything, and that has a lot to do with the quality of the experience that happened. But I don't want to underestimate the work that actually packaging the experience in the same place has changed. We want to take the story about packaging one step further. The other thing that we're working on right now in student health is what we call prescription for exercise. So in the past, student health was divided into doctors, counselors, nutritionists, and exercise specialists. All of those individuals interacted with students separately, with the exception of maybe doctors and counselors who communicated about care that was provided for individual students. In prescription for exercise, we're trying to combine all of these things to design a customized approach to working with individual students. Prescription for exercise is a day when the doctors, counselors, nutritionists, and exercise specialists talk about the care for an individual student and then provide that individual student with a prescription for exercise. We know today that student ailments, the common colds, stress, anxiety, weight loss, weight gain, is related to a number of factors in the student's experience. Medication, in some cases, is one solution, but we also know mindfulness, meditation, exercise, yoga, walking, jogging, changing their nutritional patterns also adds to the student's ability to deal with stress, anxiety, hypertension, weight loss, and weight gain. So a prescription for exercise is actually taking a package of services that students already receive and then customizing that package by linking them stronger and giving that information to students all at one time. Today, students experience these as separate engagements. In the future, we would like to connect them where the student meets with the doctor, talks to the counselor, meets with the nutritionist, and then has a prescription for exercise in the end. And if we can package it, we eliminate the transaction and we eliminate a sacrifice that our students have to experience right now. So in the world of student affairs, what we are doing to focus on improving the student experience is focusing on places where we can eliminate the student sacrifice by customizing and packaging the work that we do. Thank you.